Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's C-O-M-B-E-S-T, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?
I'm Eggburt, the owner of this station. Check out my website at eggburt.com. That's E-G-G-B-U-R-T, eggburt.com. Now it's back to Brad and John. Check out their website at bjshow.co. The BJ Show? Come on, guys. Anyway, here's B and J.
Eggburt, there's nothing wrong with the BJ Show. I like that way. Matter of fact, I tried to get bj.show, but it was just too expensive. And I didn't want to pull the trigger for, I think it was $2.99 at the time. Not $2.99, but $299. You're not upset with me, John, that I didn't want to spend that kind of money on the show, did you?
I'm outraged, and I would remind you that maybe we should just buy nokinoradio.com and then just set up shop there.
For those of you wanting to know, that's a term that I have coined. Kino stands for Christian in name only. And there are certain
I love that.
And there are certain people that I will now declare as Christian in name only. Okay. Interesting story. I read this story the other day. I know this almost sounds funny, but it's sad that we don't essentially do this with all our skirmishes. Instead of the Palestinians and Hamas and the IDF and the Israelis fighting it out with bombs and things like that. Do you know what's going on in North and South Korea? You know how South Korea is being attacked by North Korea? You know this story?
No, I don't.
North Korea is taking their trash, including some human waste. They're putting it in trash bags, and they're attaching it to helium balloons that they're floating across the DMZ into South Korea.
There's no way you're serious.
I am as serious as a heart attack. My reference is a story Wednesday, May 29th from CNN World, okay? North Korean trash balloons are dumping filth on South Korea. Okay, here we go. First paragraph. North Korea has adopted a new strategy to contend with its southern neighbor, sending floating bags of trash containing filth across the border, carried by massive balloons. The South Korean military began noticing large amounts of balloons arriving from north starting Tuesday night, detecting more than 150 as of Wednesday morning, according to the country's Joint Chiefs of Staff. Photos released by the JCS show plastic bags carried by two giant balloons with some broken packages spilling scraps of plastic, sheets of paper, and what appears to be dirt or human waste onto roads and sidewalks. The balloons are so far contain filth and garbage and are being analyzed by government agencies, said the JCS, adding that the military is cooperating with the United Nations Command. See, that's how we, you say, back in the day, we had the IRA and the Catholics, wasn't it? The Catholics, they were going.
Yeah, that's right.
In Ireland.
Irish Republican Army.
Instead of the Irish Republican Army and the Catholics going back and forth, they, and shooting each other and killing each other and having, all sorts of terrible blowing up things and, putting bombs under people's cars and stuff like that. We just have them say, if you don't be nice to me, I'm going to put my garbage from yesterday, which includes some really stinky kitchen stuff, and I'm going to put it in a balloon, I'm going to float it over the border, and I'm going to shoot it with my BB gun, and it's going to fall on your place.
That sounds like something an elementary school kid would plan. If you said, how can you wage war without a bomb?
Right.
It sounds like a great idea that a bunch of elementary school boys would come up with.
Right. I read the story and thought to myself, this can't be for real. We got to talk about this. And I'm going like, why are they doing this? Now, here's an interesting thing. And this is Brad the Nerd. You know why this is somewhat interesting? Because of the fact
that I'm sure does this have to do with meteorology?
No, not necessarily that.
Okay.
It has to do with see, this is a market issue. This is a financial issue, and the financial issue is helium has gotten very expensive. Helium is becoming very, very, very hard to find. Matter of fact, even though you go to Schnucks and things like that, you see all the, like now you see the big balloons, congratulations grads and stuff like that. But I speak because a couple doors down in their studio complex here, if you go down the hall, hang a left, hang a right, hang another left, you will find a steel cylinder of helium. Yes, I have a helium, and not one of your little dinky ones. This thing stands, I don't know what, it's maybe what they call a 100-pounder or something like that. This is a full-blown, 5-foot-tall steel cylinder of helium, okay? And for a while, what I was doing, you're going to laugh when I tell you this. You know, I'm of the theory that there's lots of noise out there and in various different things, lots of noise. And if you can break through the noise and you can make an impression on someone, they will pay attention to you. And the only problem is if you do something weird like I do, it can go two different directions. It can go like, that guy's a weirdo. I'm never going to talk to him again. Or they would say, oh, my God, I loved what this guy's trying to do. I need to talk to him about whatever he wants to do with me. I bought these metallic balloons, and I figured out exactly how much helium I put into it, and I attached a sales presentation to the balloon on a piece of what do you call it? Ribbon.
Mylar?
Okay. Piece of ribbon, red ribbon. The balloons were red Mylar balloons, and a couple of clients, like for example, I shouldn't tell the story, but it's actually funny. The guy doesn't work there anymore. A company that used to do business with us and then was sold, and the new company came in, and the new manager would not even speak to me. And when you walked in the front door of this place, you could see his office, and you could see him sitting at his desk. And I went in there one day, and I said, can I talk to him? I want to embarrass the guy. And the receptionist says, I'm sorry, he's not in. When I'm looking at him in his desk, okay? I'm seeing he's at his desk. So that was my first one I walked in. I walked in one day, and I had this in my car, and they had relatively high ceilings in this room. So, you know, maybe like a 15-foot ceiling in the reception area. So I walked in, and I figured out, okay, if I walk in with the balloon, I put I tested this out. If I put like 12 feet or like 11 feet of ribbon on the thing, and I attached my sales presentation, I walked in, and I let the balloon float up to the ceiling. And so the sales presentation was like dangling about 4 feet off the ground. And I said to the lady at the reception desk, I go, hey, could you have so-and-so, and I won't mention his name, take a look at this. This is my presentation. Is that bizarre or what?
Yeah, but so what you're saying is that she was aware of the balloon. I thought you were saying you would try to sneak the balloon in.
Oh, no,
and
just
put a fast one past her.
No, just walked in with it, and she looked at me like, what? What are you doing? You know, and now, once again, was I harming anything? No. I mean, just...
Now, do you offer neighborhood junkies a chance to come in and take a hit off the helium balloon for a helium machine for an affordable price?
Well, all it does is just changes your voice. That's what helium does. Now, if you're talking about nitrous oxide, that's a different thing.
Well, that's something else.
Matter of fact,
that's in a different category for sure.
Did you ever see? And I don't know if you watch many of these things.
I did not see it.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, but I don't watch movies or television, so I didn't see it. But okay. What is it?
There was a series that came out, I think they're going to do season 2 or something like that, called Tulsa King. Did you ever heard about this?
No, huh?
And it was starring Sylvester Stallone. And I believe it was on Prime because I watched a little bit. No, I remember it was on Netflix, but the first edition of it was they threw it out there. Anybody could watch it. And it's sort of an interesting, the background of the story is that Sylvester Stallone plays this guy. He's a mob guy in the mob in New York City. And he ultimately, and it's sort of a complicated story the way it starts out, but long story made short, he's convicted of murder when he did not commit the murder. Someone else, his boss, who ultimately became like, what do they call it, the capo or whatever, the Godfather, the guy who became the head of the mafia, actually, committed the murder. And Sylvester Stallone, the character he plays, took the hit for it. And he went to jail for 25 years. And he comes out of jail, and he's expecting to be taken care of. He never talked about it, never told anybody who really committed the murder, blah, 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 blah. And he comes out of jail. They pick him up at the prison. They take him to the Godfather's house. And the Godfather, he's looking for his reward. And his reward is he gets sent to Tulsa, Oklahoma to run he's supposed to start a new mob operation in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So he's called the Tulsa King. And one of the things he does is they steal these bottles, these huge industrial bottles of nitrous oxide, and they go to county fairs in Oklahoma, and they charge for hits of nitrous oxide.
Oh, that sounds like a pretty good deal. And that's a cash business, too. Like,
Right,
you can't Venmo your drug dealer.
Exactly.
That's a beautiful thing.
And I think what they did was they actually filled a balloon. You had like you charge between your choice between a large and a small balloon, but like one was 5, one was 10, and they would fill up the balloon with the nitrous oxide tank, and they would hand it to you, and you'd go, and you'd get that, get that dentist high, stuff like that. And I thought that was sort of interesting. And now I've heard that there are people that do that there are people that do charge. They get nitrous oxide. And I'm trying to think, I've got an account, and you're going to think this is weird, but I have an account at a place where I buy industrial gases. I can actually buy acetylene and oxygen.
CK? Is it CK?
No. It's another place. It's an HVAC place where I can't buy. But I used to have for years. I used to have an account at Rod's Service, good old Rod, and I think Rod's still around. Rod's in University City on Pennsylvania Avenue, and Rod was actually nice to me until one day he got mad at me because someone stole one of my cylinders that I rented from him, and he essentially tried to charge me like $2,000. And I told him to stick the cylinder where the sun doesn't shine because I know the cylinder didn't cost $2,000. So anyway, that's why Rod and I are not friends anymore. But I did have an account at CK for a while. But anyway. Is that nerd stuff?
Yeah, but no, I think it's interesting. Now, did you have to pay the 3% county tax on the 3% muni tax on the 6% state tax for that?
Well, no, but it's interesting you bring that up because of the fact that not too many people know this, but in 2026, I've already started the groundwork. We're going to do essentially a petition initiative petition where we're going to go out, and I've already hired the people to take the signatures, and we're going to essentially sign people up to get this on the ballot for legalized essentially nitrous oxide in the 2026. And what we're going to do is we found a loophole in the law that states that every medical marijuana, recreational marijuana place has to set aside 20 square feet for me to set up a little booth within their place where as people come in, hey, you don't want to smoke that stuff. It's gonna get stinky in your house. Hey, right over here, nitrous oxide, nothing to burn.
A much cleaner one, and it's more carbon friendly.
Right, nothing to burn, won't cause any holes in your furniture or anything like that. It won't smoke up your car. And you know what? The superintendent at Francis Howell High School will never send out a memo saying, for those of you who are sucking nitrous oxide in the part pickup line at the Francis Howell High Schools, or was it the
please
great?
Refrain. Please adhere to the tobacco policy as well. Right. Now, Brad, I think you and I might have to join forces because I'm collecting signatures for escorts for education.
That's my deal.
So yeah. I mean, that's true. I am trying to infringe on that. Actually, it's true. You put me in charge of getting the talent to wear certain outfits and recruit people to actually sign the petition, which is I hate to brag, but which was a great idea on my part. But yeah, so we could collect signatures, and you know what though, Brad? At least 0.02% of the money will go to an endangered kitten society. So if you hate kittens, sure, vote against escorts for education. But if you like to have a little fresh kitty, and take care of some kitty that's just working its way through school, sign the petition, Brad.
John sent me something the other day, which we didn't talk about. Was that early this week? You sent me the article that talked about for the first time.
It was from Tony's Kansas City headed up.
For the first time.
And then I read more about it yesterday, too.
And that's in the state of Missouri, right? We're talking about the fact that
it's nationwide.
Nationwide, marijuana has eclipsed alcohol, correct? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and I'm bringing up the headline now, but it was an Associated Press piece that I got from Tony's Kansas City. And yeah, so people who describe their use as either daily or near daily. So if you use something, I believe it's 5 days a week, which is as close to daily as it could be. I'm bringing it up right here, actually, Brad. It's I'll read it real quick. According to a recent study published in Addiction, daily cannabis use in the U.S. has surpassed daily alcohol use. And this is from a government study. The per capita rate of reporting increased by 120%, and daily use, Brad, of cannabis increased by 218%. So is that a tripling? 100% would be a doubling, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
218% would be more than tripling. So for the first time ever, if you were ever walking through Walmart at 4 p.m. and you're like, God, that chick, and that dude seems kind of drunk. Are they really drinking at 4 p.m.? Now you're more likely to see somebody that's stoned out of their gourd at 4 p.m. walking around Walmart than you are somebody that's drunk.
John, remember?
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. We've talked about this. Matter of fact, we had the cut from Gary Vee, who's talked about that he is a purveyor of history. He studies history because he picks up patterns. And essentially said, we're a late-stage society. So essentially, we are on the cusp of essentially disappearing like the Roman Empire because of the fact that everybody's spoiled, everybody's fat and sassy. You know, people don't want to work 5 days a week. They want to work 4 days a week. And if we pass 4 days a week, then there'd be people saying we only want to work 3 days a week. And then there are people saying we only want to work 2 days a week. And nobody wants to show up for work anymore. Nobody wants to get in their car anymore. Everybody's using DoorDash and Uber Eats because how dare we get in our car and drive somewhere and actually
I put in effort for it.
Right.
Man.
Get face-to-face with someone who we ordered from rather than a kiosk. Man, don't get me going.
Hey, but you know what? We're listening to a man that spent the weekend working on GUY, wires and ratchet straps, also that this station could stay on the air, Brad. And we are grateful to – I'm using the royal we here, but we are deeply grateful to you for that.
John, you get that promotion to assistant mudraker, okay?
Oh, I've been angling for it forever.
Thanks for checking out the Brad and John Show podcast. This segment of the show is brought to you by John Combest's book, Stalking, Harassment, Internet Trolling, A Guide to Recovering and Rebuilding After Online Attacks. It's a great reference if you've ever been the unfortunate target of a social media attack. It's available on Amazon. Just search John Combest. That's Combest, John Combest, and the book will show up in your search results. Now it's time for another segment of the Brad and John Show. Can you handle it?